What's up, everybody? Chase here, and today I am going to be putting on my best film critic hat and talking about the Ferrari movie. I understand I may be a little bit late to the party, but the movie is probably going to be hitting streaming relatively shortly, and I figured now would be a good time to tell you guys about my experience watching that movie. So, with that said, let's jump into it. I'm just going to get this right out of the way. I do not recommend watching this movie, especially in theaters. Even though this is a late review and you probably don't have the opportunity to watch it in theaters anymore, boy, do I recommend against that. This movie is not what I thought it was, and honestly, it's not what the trailers sold us. Let me back up and give you a little bit of context on my viewing of the movie. It was the day after Boxing Day, that weird period between Christmas and New Year's where you really don't want to do anything at all. So I figured, hell, I'm going to take my dad to go see a movie. Me and him love to watch racing movies and car movies. We recently went and watched Gran Turismo when that came out, and we both loved it and had a great time. So I figured, hey, Ferrari is right up our alley. So we went there, and boy, were we both disappointed with what we saw. The trailers sell you on this story of Ferrari, the company, the man, but the movie itself just feels like the middle of a much longer movie. And let me back up and explain what I mean by that. And the reason I say that is because the movie takes place in 1957, which is a year after the death of his first son, Dino Ferrari, which is like one of the most pivotal moments in Enzo's life and is a life-changing, character-changing moment for the man. The movie does a good job of him sitting there reflecting on friends that he's lost, whether it be during racing or in life, but then it continues on to just be an Italian family drama for a majority of the movie. And look, that's fine. And I don't even hate those. I enjoyed House of Gucci. But that's not what the trailers sell you on. You think this is going to be a movie like Ford vs. Ferrari when it's really just Ferrari vs. Ferrari. Movie doesn't do a good job of balance. Again, the trailers basically hint at this movie that is about the building of this race team and the development of a car for this long-winded race through the Italian countryside that's historic. But that's kind of glanced over and only briefly mentioned. The movie goes about an hour before you actually see some kind of driving scene, and that's a problem for a movie that's titled Ferrari, and the trailers are selling you on it being a racing / car enthusiast type movie. It also has a bunch of plot points that really don't need to be in there and go nowhere. One that's weird and not really historically accurate, which isn't an issue. Ford vs. Ferrari wasn't the most historically accurate movie, but it was entertaining, so you kind of looked past those things and understood that from a storytelling element, you kind of had to move things around to tell a more interesting story in an hour and a half, 2-hour film. This movie just brings up randomly the issue of Ferrari faking sales to Fiat and Ford to drive the price up to help save the company, which is something that didn't really happen until the 1960s. But again, it doesn't have to be historically accurate to the nth degree if it's entertaining, but this just wasn't entertaining. There were a few entertaining scenes throughout the movie, and a few emotional ones, like when the drivers were writing letters to their families just in case they didn't make it through the race. But let's talk about that ending scene, because this movie goes 0 to 100 real quick. We get to basically the last third of the movie, and it replays a very traumatic crash that is actually historically accurate and happened during this race, where the film's secondary protagonist, main driver Alfonso Di Portogo's car has a tire failure, hits a telephone pole, and wipes out a crowd of people. 9 spectators passed away, including 5 children. It's a very visceral and violent scene where we see everything unfold. And it's a very what the fuck moment, because this isn't even really a racing movie, that we found out through the last 2 hours of film. This is basically an Italian family drama, and all of a sudden we're seeing people get cut in half. It was very, very out of left field, and I understand that it had an impact, and that's what the director was going for. And I'm not trying to shit on the director or the cast, it's really just the marketing team, because this was packaged and sold as a car enthusiast racing movie, and again was an Italian family drama. But then the movie just kind of ends. We don't really get closure on anything, really. We find out some answers to some questions and some resolutions to some problems, but not nearly enough. I had to go home and Google a few things to actually figure out what was implied, and that could just be because I'm an idiot, but it's a movie. Make it a bit more clear. And that's why, again, this feels like the middle part of a longer movie, because it feels like we're missing a lot of shit at the beginning and a lot of shit at the end. It honestly feels like they took the most boring part of Enzo Ferrari's life and decided to make a movie about it. And that stinks, because there's a lot of interesting things that happened to that man, and they decided to talk about barely any of it. But that's just what I thought of the movie. I am not a movie YouTuber or a critique artist when it comes to film and cinema. I'm not going to sit here and be able to tell you about editing styles, shot breakdowns, but this is coming from a car enthusiast and a racing fan. This movie just wasn't it, Chief. I would not recommend watching it, even when it comes to streaming for free, because it was boring. The only reason I didn't stop watching this movie was because I paid a good amount for the movie tickets and the overpriced popcorn and drink for the movie, so I was getting my money's worth whether I liked it or not. But I'd love to know what you guys thought about it. If you did watch Ferrari, am I completely off base? Was I wrong? Let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to know what you guys think about it. If you like this kind of video, also please let me know. Your feedback would be well appreciated with the like button. Anyway, I'm probably going to do a top 5 chase racing movies of all time in the future, so stay tuned for that. If you like what I'm doing here, please hit that subscribe button to stay on this journey with me. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.